"Get out of my house." Those were the first words I heard my husband say when I walked through our front door. I'd been gone for 3 days, 3 days visiting my dying father in the hospital. And when I came home, there was another woman sitting at my kitchen table, wearing my robe, drinking from my favorite mug, and my husband was telling me to leave. The woman looked up at me with a smile I'd seen 1,000 times before. Not on her face, on his mother's face. Because the woman sitting at my kitchen table, in my house, with my husband, was his sister, Jessica. And the look in her eyes told me this wasn't temporary. This was planned. "Ryan, what's going on?" I dropped my hospital bag on the floor. My hands were shaking. I'd been awake for 36 hours straight, sitting in a hard plastic chair while my father fought for every breath. Why is Jessica here? Why is she wearing my clothes? "This is her house now," Ryan said. He didn't look at me. He was staring at his phone, scrolling through something like this was a normal Tuesday morning, like he hadn't just told his wife of 8 years to get out. Mom explained everything. "Jessica needs stability. You've been gone too much lately. It's not fair to me. My father is dying." My voice cracked on the word dying. "I've been at the hospital. You knew that. You told me to go. You said—" "That was before Mom talked to me," Jessica interrupted. She set down my mug with the chip on the handle that I'd had since college, and stood up. "Ryan needs a wife who's actually here. Someone who puts him first. Someone who understands family loyalty. That's not you anymore, Claire. That's me. My name is Claire Davidson. I'm 32 years old." And in that moment, standing in my own kitchen, being told to leave by my husband and his sister, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't Ryan having a breakdown or making a rash decision. This was orchestrated, planned, and the person pulling the strings was my mother-in-law, Patricia. The woman who'd smiled at me at our wedding, who'd hugged me at family dinners, who'd been slowly, methodically destroying my marriage for 8 years. Before I tell you what I discovered about Patricia, before I explain the bank accounts she'd helped Ryan hide and the legal documents she'd filed without my knowledge, I need you to do something. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel. Because what I'm about to share will make you look at every sweet, smiling mother-in-law differently. Drop a comment telling me if you've ever felt like your partner's family was trying to push you out. Let me know. I'm not alone in this. I met Ryan Davidson when I was 24. He was charming, successful, working as a financial analyst at a hedge fund. We dated for 2 years before he proposed. Everything seemed perfect, almost too perfect. The only warning sign was Patricia. His mother was intense. She called him 3 times a day. She had a key to his apartment and would let herself in whenever she wanted. She chose his clothes, his car, even his friends. 3058. "She's just protective," Ryan would say when I gently suggested maybe the daily calls were excessive. "I'm her only son. You have to understand, after my dad died, we became really close. It's just the 2 of us." "And Jessica," I'd remind him, "you have a sister." "Jessica's different. Mom takes care of her. She has some issues, anxiety, depression, trouble holding down jobs. Mom helps her out financially." It's complicated. Complicated. That word should have been my first clue. Jessica wasn't just anxious or depressed. She was obsessed with her brother. At our wedding, she wore a white dress. Not ivory, not cream. White. The exact same shade as my wedding gown. When I pointed it out to Ryan, he He laughed. That's just Jessica being Jessica. She probably didn't even realize. Don't make a big deal out of it, Claire. You know how Mom gets when there's family drama. How Mom gets? Another warning sign I ignored. Patricia didn't like conflict. Or rather, she didn't like being told no. Thanksgiving 2019. I'd invited my parents to join us for dinner. Patricia called Ryan the night before. Your mother says we can't come to Thanksgiving, Ryan told me, hanging up the phone. She says it's family only. My parents are family. We've been married 3 years. They're your family too now. You know what I mean. Mom's family. She has this tradition. Just the 3 of us. Me, her, and Jessica. She says adding more people changes the dynamic. Can we just do this her way, please? It's easier. It's easier. For the next 5 years, those 2 words became the theme of our marriage. It's easier to have dinner at Patricia's house instead of cooking at home. It's easier to let Jessica stay with us for a few weeks when she's between apartments. It's easier to skip my family's Christmas so we can spend it with his mother. It's easier. 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 Until there was no us left, just Ryan, Patricia, Jessica, and the wife who was slowly being erased. The first major crack appeared in March 2024. My father had a heart attack, massive, life-threatening. He was in ICU for 2 weeks. I spent every spare moment at the hospital. Ryan came once, stayed for 15 minutes, then left because hospitals make me uncomfortable. Your mom called, he said one evening when I came home at midnight. She says you're being selfish. Your dad has your mom and your brother with him. He doesn't need you there every single day. But I need you here. I need dinner made. I need the house clean. I need my wife to act like a wife. My father is dying, I whispered. He might not make it through the week. I'm sorry if the house is messy, but nothing. Mom's right. You're using your dad's illness as an excuse to avoid your responsibilities here. It's not fair to me, Claire. It's just not fair. My father survived that heart attack. Barely. He was sent home with a list of medications and strict instructions about diet and exercise. I visited him 3 times a week. Every visit, Ryan complained. Every visit, Patricia called to remind him that his needs should come first. Then came September. My father's cancer diagnosis. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer. 6 months, maybe less. The oncologist recommended hospice care. I wanted to bring him to our house. We had a guest room. I could take care of him. But Ryan said no. Absolutely not. This is our space. Our home. I'm not turning it into a hospice. If you want to help your dad, fine. But he stays at his place with your mom. We're not doing this here. So my father stayed in the small apartment he shared with my mother. And I drove 40 minutes each way, 3 times a week, to sit with him, to help my mother change his bedding, to watch him fade. And every time I left to go see him, Patricia would call Ryan. Every single time. October 15th. My father took a turn for the worse. The hospice nurse called at 3 in the morning. You should come now. It's time. I woke Ryan up, told him I had to go. He rolled over without opening his eyes. Tell him I said goodbye. That was it. Tell him I said goodbye. Not? I'll come with you. Not? Do you need me? Just a mumbled message for a man he'd known for 8 years and couldn't be bothered to see one last time. I drove to my parents' apartment alone, sat with my father for 3 days while he drifted in and out of consciousness. My mother slept in shifts. My brother flew in from Seattle. And my husband texted me twice. Once to ask what we had for dinner in the fridge. Once to say his mother was worried about me. My father died on October 18th at 6:42 in the morning. I was holding his hand. My mother was on his other side. My brother was at the foot of the bed. We were all there, together, the way families should be. And I remember thinking, even through the grief, that Ryan should have been there too. That this was the kind of moment that defined a marriage, and he'd chosen to stay home. The funeral was on October 21st. Ryan came. He stood in the back of the church, checking his phone, leaving before the reception. "I have to get back to work," he said, kissing my cheek. "Mom says you understand. She says grief is private and I shouldn't intrude." Grief is private. As if my grief for my father was something shameful I should hide away from my husband. After the funeral, I stayed with my mother for 3 more days. She was lost. 40 years of marriage, gone in 3 days of labored breathing and morphine. She needed me, and I needed to be needed by someone who actually wanted me there. I came home on October 24th at 2 in the afternoon. The house looked different. Cleaner. Organized. There were fresh flowers on the dining table. Flowers I hadn't bought. The living room had been rearranged. My books were gone from the shelves, replaced with framed photos of Ryan, Patricia, and Jessica. Not one photo included me. That's when I heard voices in the kitchen. Ryan. And a woman laughing. Not Patricia's sharp bark of a laugh. Something younger. Softer. I walked through the hallway, my footsteps silent on the hardwood floors I'd chosen when we bought this house. And that's when I saw them. Ryan and Jessica. She was wearing my bathrobe, the silk one he'd given me for our anniversary. She was drinking from my mug, and they were sitting close. Too close. "Get out of my house." Ryan's words hit me like a slap. This is her house now. I need to pause here. If you're watching this and your heart is racing the way mine was in that moment, comment the word "replaced" below. Let me know you're with me. Hit subscribe, because what I discovered next will show you exactly how far a mother-in-law will go to destroy the woman her son married. "What are you talking about?" I looked at Jessica. She was smiling. Actually smiling. "Jessica, why are you wearing my clothes?" "Ryan, explain this to me right now." "Mom explained it to me while you were gone," Ryan said. He still wouldn't look at me. "She said you've changed, that you're not the woman I married anymore, that you've become selfish and distant. She said Jessica could step in, temporarily, just until you get your priorities straight." "Step in? Step in as what?" "Ryan, we're married. You can't replace me with your sister because your mother doesn't like how I'm grieving my father." "It's not about your father," Jessica said. She stood up, and I noticed she was also wearing my slippers. My favorite fuzzy slippers with the cat faces on them. "It's about you not appreciating what you have. Ryan deserves better. He deserves someone who makes him happy. Someone who doesn't always smell like hospitals and sadness." That's me now. Mom said so. Mom said so. I felt something cold settle in my chest. This wasn't about my father's death. This wasn't about me spending too much time away from home. This was Patricia. This had always been Patricia, and I'd been too blind to see it. "I want to talk to your mother," I said. "Right now. Call her. Put her on speaker. I want to hear her explain this insanity to my face." Ryan pulled out his phone. Speed dial 1. Of course she was speed dial 1. Not me, his wife. His mother. The phone rang twice before Patricia's voice filled the kitchen. "Ryan, honey, is everything okay? Is Claire making a scene? I'm standing right here, Patricia. And yes, I'm making a scene. Because I came home from burying my father to find your daughter wearing my clothes and my husband telling me to leave. Want to explain that? Patricia sighed. The same sigh she used when Jessica forgot to pick up groceries or when Ryan tracked mud through her house. The sigh that said, I'm being so patient with you, even though you're exhausting me. Claire, I know you're grieving, but grief isn't an excuse to abandon your marriage. Ryan called me every day while you were gone. He was lonely. He was struggling. And you weren't there? My father died 3 days ago. 3 days. And you think the appropriate response is to move your daughter into my house? Jessica isn't in your house permanently. She's there to help Ryan transition, to help him realize what a real partnership looks like. You see, Claire, I've been watching you for 8 years, watching you pull my son away from his family, watching you make him choose between you and us. Well, now he's choosing, and he's choosing his real family. His real family? Patricia, I'm his wife. We're married. You can't just. Actually, I can. And I have. Jessica is everything you should have been. She's devoted. She's available. She understands that Ryan's needs come first. And unlike you, she actually loves him unconditionally. Not with all these demands and expectations you've always had. Demands? What demands? I asked him to come to the hospital once while my father was dying. That's not a demand. That's basic human decency. You asked him to prioritize your family over his own happiness. That's not a marriage, Claire. That's a dictatorship. Jessica understands the difference. That's why she's there now. That's why she's going to stay. The call ended. Patricia had hung up. I looked at Ryan, waiting for him to say something. Anything. To tell me this was crazy. To tell me he'd made a mistake, but he just stood there, staring at his phone, his jaw tight. Ryan, look at me. Nothing. Ryan, please. We can fix this. Whatever your mother said, we can work through it. Just tell Jessica to leave. Tell me this isn't real. Mom's right, he said quietly. You have changed. You're not the woman I fell in love with. That woman was fun. She was carefree. She made me laugh. This version of you is just sad all the time. And I can't do it anymore. I can't be married to someone who's always grieving something. My father just died. Your father's been dying for months. Before that, it was your grandmother. Before that, your cat. There's always something, Claire. Always some tragedy that takes you away from me. Mom helped me see that. She helped me understand that I deserve better. Jessica walked over and put her hand on Ryan's shoulder. A possessive gesture. A claiming gesture. You should go stay with your mom for a while, she said to me. Give Ryan some space. Give us time to figure things out. Mom thinks that's best. Mom thinks. Mom says. Mom helped you see. Do you hear yourselves? You're both adults and you're letting Patricia control every aspect of your lives. This is sick. This is... Get out. Ryan's voice was ice. I'm serious, Claire. Pack a bag and leave. We'll figure out the rest later. But right now, I need you gone. I should have fought harder. I should have called the police, called a lawyer, done something. But I was exhausted. Grief hollowed. And some small part of me wondered if they were right. If I had been too focused on my dying father, if I had neglected my marriage. So I packed a bag. I took my laptop, some clothes, my dead father's watch that my mother had given me at the funeral, and I left. I drove to my mother's apartment. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside without asking questions. I told her everything. The words came out in a rush. Ryan, Jessica, Patricia, the robe, the mug, the way they looked at each other. My mother listened in silence. Then she said 5 words that changed everything. "Check your bank accounts, now!" I pulled out my laptop, logged into our joint checking account. The balance should have been around $42,000. We'd been saving for a down payment on a bigger house. Instead, the screen showed $374. I clicked on recent transactions. Withdrawals, dozens of them, all in the past 2 weeks, while I'd been at the hospital with my father, watching him die. Ryan had been draining our savings. $20,000 to Patricia Davidson. I read the transaction out loud, my voice shaking. $15,000 to Jessica Davidson. $8,000 to Anderson Furniture. $6,000 to Cartier. $3,000 too. Mom, there's nothing left. He took everything. Check the savings account, my mother said. Her voice was eerily calm. Check the investment accounts. Check everything. Savings account, 0. Investment portfolio, liquidated. The money from my grandmother's inheritance that I put into a joint account 2 years ago, gone. Our retirement accounts, emptied. In 2 weeks, Ryan had systematically removed every dollar from every account we shared. The total came to $183,000. Gone. "This isn't legal," I whispered. "He can't just take all our money. We're married. It's community property." "He? Call a lawyer," my mother said. "Right now, before he does anything else." I called Sarah Chin, a divorce attorney my friend had recommended years ago during her own split. Sarah answered on the second ring. "Claire, I was wondering when you'd call. Patricia Davidson contacted me 3 weeks ago. She wanted to know if I'd represent Ryan in a divorce. I told her I had a conflict of interest because I knew you socially. She wasn't happy about that." 3 weeks ago? But my father was still alive 3 weeks ago? She was planning this before he even died? It sounds like it. "Can you come to my office tomorrow morning? Bring every financial document you have. Bank statements, tax returns, property deeds, everything. We need to move fast." I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my mother's dining table with my laptop and went through 8 years of financial records, looking for the pattern I'd been too trusting to see, and I found it. The pattern had been there all along. Every major purchase Ryan made was preceded by a phone call to Patricia. Every financial decision was run by her first. The house we bought in 2020? Patricia had chosen it. The car he'd bought me for my 30th birthday? Patricia had picked it out. The vacation we took to Hawaii in 2022? Patricia had booked the resort. I thought Ryan was including his mother to be nice. But now I saw the truth. Ryan didn't make decisions. Patricia made them for him. He was 34 years old and his mother still controlled every aspect of his life. But it was worse than that, because as I dug deeper into our accounts, I found something else. Transfers I'd never authorized. Withdrawals I'd never made. My signature forged on documents I'd never signed. Patricia hadn't just been controlling Ryan. She'd been stealing from us. From me. October 2022. $15,000 withdrawn from our savings. The memo line said, "Jessica's medical expenses." I'd never seen a medical bill. October 2021. $20,000 transferred to an LLC called Davidson Family Holdings. I'd never heard of it. October 2020. $35,000 withdrawn as a loan to Patricia for home repairs. I never agreed to that loan. Every year, around the same time, large sums of money disappeared from our accounts. And every year, when I asked Ryan about our finances, he'd tell me everything was fine, that his mother was helping us manage our money more efficiently, that I didn't need to worry about the details. I need to pause again. If you're understanding what I'm realizing, comment fraud. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, because what I discovered next proved that Patricia wasn't just controlling, she was criminal. I met Sarah Chin at her office at 8 a.m. the next morning. I brought everything, every bank statement, every tax return, every piece of paper with Ryan's signature or mine. Sarah spread them across her conference table and worked in silence for 3 hours. Finally, she Claire, this is bad, really bad, but it's also prosecutable. Your mother-in-law has been committing fraud. The signatures on these transfer authorizations aren't yours. I can see that even without a handwriting expert. The LLC, Davidson Family Holdings, is registered to Patricia. She's been funneling your marital assets into her own company. We're looking at embezzlement, forgery, possibly identity theft. Can we get the money back? Some of it. Maybe. But we need to act fast. Has Ryan filed for divorce yet? I don't know. He told me to leave yesterday. I haven't heard from him since. We need to file first. Today. Right now. Emergency motion for exclusive use of the marital home. Restraining order against further asset dissipation. Full forensic accounting of all joint accounts. If we move fast enough, we can freeze everything before they hide it all. Sarah filed the divorce petition at noon. Emergency hearing was set for 3 days later. In those 3 days, I learned more about my mother-in-law than I'd learned in 8 years of marriage. Sarah hired a private investigator, a woman named Maria Torres, who specialized in financial fraud. What Maria found made me physically sick. Patricia had done this before. Ryan wasn't her first victim. She'd been married 3 times. The first husband, Ryan's biological father, had died in a car accident when Ryan was 2. Life insurance payout, $200,000. The second husband divorced her after 5 years, claiming financial abuse. He tried to get a restraining order. It was denied. The third husband died of a heart attack at 53. Life insurance payout, $350,000. Both deaths were ruled natural, Maria told me over the phone. But the second husband, his name is Robert Chen. He's alive. He lives in Portland. I talked to him yesterday. He wants to talk to you. He says he's been waiting for years for one of Patricia's victims to fight back. Robert Chen called me that night. His voice was gravelly, rough with age and cigarette smoke. She destroyed me, he said without preamble. 5 years of marriage, and she took everything. My business, my savings, my house. And she did it all through Ryan. He was 14 when I married Patricia. Sweet kid, funny, smart. But she'd already poisoned him against me, told him I was trying to replace his real father. By the time I figured out what she was doing, it was too late. What was she doing? Using Ryan to access my accounts. She'd convinced him that I was hiding money from them, that I didn't love his mother the way his real father had, so Ryan would steal my credit cards, my checkbook, my laptop. He'd give Patricia access to everything. She'd drain accounts, take out loans in my name, forge my signature on contracts. By the time I realized what was happening, I was $300,000 in debt. Did you go to the police? I tried, but Patricia's smart. She'd hidden everything. Made it look like I'd authorized the transactions. Made it look like Ryan was just helping his mother manage household finances. The DA's office wouldn't prosecute, said it was a civil matter. So I left, took what little I had left, and moved to Portland. Started over from scratch. But I've been watching her, waiting. When her third husband died, I knew it wasn't natural, but I couldn't prove it. You think she killed him? I think she kills everyone who gets in her way. Maybe not with her own hands, but she's a predator, Claire, and she's trained Ryan to help her hunt. You need to be very, very careful. If she thinks you're going to expose her, she won't just ruin you financially. She'll destroy you completely. The emergency hearing was on October 28th. I walked into that courtroom with Sarah, with Maria's investigation report, with Robert Chen's testimony via video call, and I watched Patricia's face when the judge read through the evidence of fraud. She didn't look surprised. She looked annoyed, like I'd inconvenienced her by not disappearing quietly. Ryan sat next to his mother, holding her hand. Jessica was on his other side, also holding his hand. The three of them formed a unit, a wall, and I was alone. But I had the truth. And sometimes the truth is enough. The judge granted my emergency motions: exclusive use of the marital home, freeze on all joint accounts, restraining order, preventing Patricia from having any contact with our finances, and most importantly, a full forensic audit of every account Patricia had ever touched. "This is ridiculous," Patricia said when the judge finished reading his order. "Your Honor, my son is going through a difficult time. His wife abandoned him during a family crisis. All I've done is help him manage his finances. There's no fraud here. Just a vindictive woman who can't accept that her marriage is over." "Mrs. Davidson," the judge looked at her over his reading glasses, "I've reviewed the evidence submitted by Mrs. Davidson's attorney. The handwriting analysis alone is enough to warrant a criminal investigation. The fact that you're claiming these transactions were authorized when the signatures are clearly forged is deeply concerning. I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office. You may want to retain legal counsel." Patricia's mask slipped. Just for a second, and what I saw underneath was pure rage. Not at the judge, at me. "You'll regret this," she said. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a simple statement of fact. "You'll regret making an enemy of me, Claire." "Is that a threat, Mrs. Davidson?" the judge asked. "It's a promise," Patricia smiled. "I've been dealing with difficult women for 30 years. They all think they can win. They all think they can take what's mine. But I'm still here, and they're all gone. Claire will be gone too. It's just a matter of time." The bailiff escorted Patricia out of the courtroom. Ryan followed without looking at me. Jessica paused at the door, turned back, and mouthed 3 words: "Mom always wins." That night, I stayed at a hotel. Sarah had advised me not to go back to the house alone, even though I legally had exclusive use. "Patricia is escalating," she said. "That threat in court? That was serious. Let me hire security, just for a few days, until things calm down." But things didn't calm down. They got worse. Much worse. October 29th, 3 a.m. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Silence on the other end. Then breathing. Heavy, deliberate breathing. Then Patricia's voice, sweet as honey. "Claire, you're awake. Good. I wanted to tell you something about your father." My blood went cold. "What about my father?" "He didn't just die, sweetheart. I made sure he died. While you were so busy playing the devoted daughter, I was visiting him, bringing him homemade cookies, talking to your mother about his medications. Such a tragedy. Pancreatic cancer. So painful. So quick once it really takes hold. Of course, it takes hold faster when someone's adjusting the morphine dosage, when someone's adding a little something extra to the pain medication. Your mother never noticed. The hospice nurse never noticed. But I noticed. I noticed everything. You're lying. You're insane. You didn't. I did. And there's no proof. Just like there was no proof with my third husband. Just like there will be no proof when something unfortunate happens to you. Accidents happen, Claire. Grieving widows take too many sleeping pills. Distraught women drive off bridges. The courts can rule however they want. But I always win. Always. The call ended. I sat in that hotel room, shaking, and realized I wasn't just dealing with a controlling mother-in-law. I was dealing with a murderer. A woman who'd spent 30 years perfecting the art of getting away with it, and she just confessed to me because she knew I couldn't prove anything. But she'd made one mistake. She'd called from a phone I could trace, and I'd recorded the conversation. Every word. I called Detective James Morrison with the LAPD at 7 a.m., played him the recording, watched his expression change from skepticism to horror. "Mrs. Davidson, we need to get you into protective custody, right now. This woman just confessed to 2 murders and threatened you directly. Can you arrest her?" For the threat? Absolutely. For the murders? That's harder. We'll need to exhume the bodies, run toxicology tests, interview witnesses. It could take months, but the fraud charges are solid. We can hold her on those while we build the murder case. Patricia was arrested on October 30th at her home. Ryan was there. Jessica was there. They both screamed at the officers that this was a mistake, that I was lying, that their mother would never hurt anyone. The officers didn't listen. They'd heard the recording. They'd seen the financial evidence. And they'd started digging into the deaths of Patricia's second and third husbands. The forensic audit took 6 weeks. What they found was staggering. Patricia had stolen over $400,000 from me and Ryan during our marriage. She'd used forged documents to access accounts, create fake LLCs, and funnel money into offshore accounts. The money she'd loaned to Jessica, never repaid. The medical expenses, fictional. The home repairs, never happened. It was all theft. Systematic, calculated theft. But the murder investigation moved faster than anyone expected. Because when they exhumed Patricia's third husband, they found something. Traces of antifreeze in his tissue samples. Small amounts, administered over months. Enough to cause kidney failure and cardiac arrest. Enough to kill. And when they tested the cookies Patricia had been bringing to my father, the ones my mother had saved in the freezer, they found the same thing. Antifreeze. Small amounts. But enough. Patricia was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, multiple counts of fraud, forgery, and identity theft. Ryan and Jessica were charged as accessories after the fact. Because they'd known. Maria's investigation proved they'd known about the fraud. They'd helped hide the money. And text messages between Jessica and Patricia proved they'd discussed my father's death days before it happened. "Mom's taking care of the Claire problem," Jessica had texted. "Soon it'll just be us again, the real family." The trial lasted 4 months. I testified for 6 hours, told the jury everything about the control, the manipulation, the systematic theft, the threat, the confession, the cookies laced with poison that my mother had fed to my dying father, thinking they were a kind gesture from her son's mother-in-law. Ryan's lawyer tried to paint me as a vindictive ex-wife. Patricia's lawyer claimed she was a devoted mother protecting her son from a gold digger. Jessica's lawyer claimed she was mentally ill and easily manipulated. None of it worked. The evidence was overwhelming. Patricia was convicted on all counts, sentenced to life without parole for the murders, additional 30 years for the fraud. Ryan was sentenced to 10 years for his role in the financial crimes. Jessica was sentenced to 5 years in a psychiatric facility. They'd all be old when they got out, if they got out. At sentencing, I gave a victim impact statement, looked Patricia in the eye, and told her exactly what she'd taken from me. You didn't just steal money. You stole my father's last months. You stole my marriage. You stole 8 years of my life by making me think I was the problem, that I was difficult, that I was selfish. But I wasn't the problem. You were. You were always the problem. And now, everyone knows it. Patricia smiled at me. Even then, even after everything, she smiled. You think you won, she said. But you didn't. Ryan will never love you the way he loves me. Even from prison, I own him. I'll always own him. And someday, when I'm gone, he'll wake up and realize what he lost, and it'll destroy him. That's my real victory, Claire. Not the money, not the power. The fact that I broke my own son so completely that he'll never be whole again? She was right about that. Ryan never recovered. He's still in prison. I get letters sometimes from his therapist asking if I'd be willing to speak with him, to help him process the abuse he suffered as a child, the grooming, the manipulation. I haven't responded. Some wounds are too deep to heal. Some damage is permanent. I'm 40 years old now. It's been 8 years since that October day when I came home to find Jessica wearing my robe. 8 years since I learned that the woman I trusted with my marriage had been systematically destroying it from the inside. I rebuilt my life, slowly, painfully. I went back to school, got my master's degree in forensic accounting. Now I help other women identify financial abuse in their marriages. I've testified as an expert witness in 14 cases, helped recover over $2 million in stolen assets, and I've learned something important. Patricia wasn't unique. There are thousands of women like her, mothers who can't let go, who see their sons as property, who destroy anyone who threatens their control. If you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. I want to hear yours. Have you ever dealt with a toxic mother-in-law? Have you ever felt like you were being pushed out of your own marriage? Drop your story in the comments. Let's build a community of survivors who recognize the warning signs and refuse to be erased. Subscribe to this channel. Share this video. Because somewhere out there, there's a woman sitting in her house wondering why her husband's mother hates her so much, wondering if she's imagining things, wondering if she's the problem. And she needs to know she's not alone. She needs to know that some mothers-in-law aren't just difficult, they're dangerous. And recognizing that could save her life. My father is buried in Forest Lawn Cemetery. I visit his grave every week, put fresh flowers on the headstone, tell him about my work, about the women I've helped, about the justice I got for him. Because Patricia was wrong about one thing. She didn't win. She's in prison. Her son is broken. Her daughter is medicated. And I'm here, standing, surviving, thriving, thriving. That's the real victory, not the conviction, not the recovered money. The fact that I refuse to disappear, I refuse to be erased, I refuse to let her win. And every woman I help, every dollar I recover, every case I testify in, it's all proof that she failed. That love and manipulation aren't the same thing. That mothers who destroy their children's lives in the name of protection aren't heroes. They're villains. Patricia writes me letters. From prison. They arrive every few months. I don't read them anymore. I used to, in the beginning. They were always the same. Justifications. Explanations. Claims that she loved Ryan too much to let me ruin him. That everything she did was for his own good. But love doesn't look like poison. Love doesn't look like fraud. Love doesn't look like replacing your son's wife with your daughter. Real love looks like letting go. Like trusting your children to make their own choices. Like supporting their relationships even when it means you're no longer the center of their universe. Patricia never learned that. And it destroyed her. It destroyed Ryan. It destroyed Jessica. And it almost destroyed me. But I survived. I survived because I recognized the truth before it was too late. Because I fought back. Because I refused to accept the narrative that I was difficult or demanding or wrong. You're not wrong for having boundaries. You're not selfish for prioritizing your needs. You're not the problem just because someone convinces their child that you are. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong in your marriage, investigate it. If your partner's mother is inserting herself into every decision, into every fight, into every aspect of your relationship, that's not normal. That's not helpful. That's control. And control isn't love. Document everything. Keep records. Save texts. Record phone calls if you're in a one-party consent state, because if things escalate, you'll need evidence, you'll need proof, and you'll need the courage to use it. Get your own lawyer. Not someone your partner recommends, not someone your mother-in-law knows, your own attorney who works only for you. Because in situations like mine, everyone else has already chosen sides. You need someone in your corner who can't be bought or manipulated or convinced that you're the problem. And most importantly, know that you deserve better. You deserve a partner who puts you first. A family who respects your marriage. In-laws who understand that their child's spouse is now their priority. Anything less isn't love. It's possession. And you're not property to be owned. My name is Claire Davidson. I'm 40 years old. I'm a forensic accountant specializing in financial abuse. I'm a survivor of a mother-in-law who tried to erase me and replace me with her own daughter. And I'm here to tell you that if you're in a similar situation, you're not crazy. You're not imagining things. You're being abused. And you deserve justice. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Protect your assets. Trust your instincts. And never, ever let anyone convince you that wanting a healthy marriage makes you the villain. You're the hero of your own story. Start acting like it.